Okay, to build a good base mesh, you have to things to consider. One, later on you're probably going to end up posing the character. So a thing called posable symmetry is a real nice thing to have. The problem is you must have edge loops that actually go through the character's body to actually achieve posable symmetry. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you just the starter of it, and then I'm going to go back into how I actually made the actual base mesh using zspheres. So in here I have activate symmetry, and I can use posable symmetry, and you can say full symmetry found. Now if it did not have an edge loop that went all the way through the body, it would say a fraction of the symmetry found, like 25% or 75% or something like that. And that's where you're starting to get into very odd things happening later on. So you should always check to see if you have that posable symmetry, because later on, you're going to be using posable symmetry. So make sure it works at a low mesh, and when you got them all posed out and you figure out, oh, I forgot to add maybe a little bit puffed up more right on the shoulder region, or maybe I want to put a little spike here on the elbow. You can actually do that real quickly using posable symmetry later on after the fact that he's posed. Alright, so let's get started with the basics. Z-spheres. First off, make sure that this is on rotate on all axes, none of the other stuff on. That way when you're rotating around here, it feels very natural. Usually if Y's on, you can see that, well, you can't see it here, but usually it's very awkward, see? And if I have this local on, oh yeah, that really screws stuff up. So make sure all that's off and XYZ's on, and you should be all set. If you want to straighten out a z-sphere real quickly, you can hold shift to do that. So it straightens out this line right here. This line acts as the X interface for the actual z-sphere. So this is X symmetry right here, and then the colors represent Y symmetry. So if you're quickly lost around things, just know if you see this line, that's X. Now, let's talk about symmetry and adding z-spheres and how that works. Let's go in here and activate symmetry on the z-sphere. And you can see by default it has X symmetry on, and it has a resolution of 0. So a resolution of 0 kind of represents that, when I pop two z-spheres out and hit A, you're going to see this big old lump of, I don't know, it looks like a melon of some sort. What has happened here is at 0, it has all this flow that goes in here, but it doesn't quite match this. Okay? If you want to delete a z-sphere at any one time, all you do is hold Alt and click on the z-sphere. So get very familiar in how this works. If I have 1 in here, which is a true representation of the actual mesh, because now, as you can see, instead of this melon, I have this nice pill shape from it. Okay, and you can see that this is very uniformed in this area. Again, let me kind of show you the difference between that one and this one, and I can kind of show you now what kind of edge loop that just added in here. So this has added an extra edge loop in this area, so the flow doesn't go into this area as well by using 0. So I would learn to sculpt or learn to build your base meshes in 1. That way it has a true representation of the shape that you're trying to make. Okay, so on to the next video.